AYTPC and Rumble fam, Sergeant Savinelli. Coming at you on a crisp, cool February morning. We're expecting a little bit of snow. We haven't had any yet this year, except for a light dusting, which I'm okay with. I wanted to talk some old school today. Do a little housekeeping first. I'm smoking an old school pipe. Can't get much more old school than this. It is a Tracy Mincer area custom dash built from the time period between 1934 and 1946. This one held up pretty good. Still got a lot of meat left in those walls. And it smokes like a dream. And in it today, we are smoking some Bengal slices. It's a good morning for some Latakia. All right, old school. Today I want to talk about some old school institutions that have since gone the way of the dodo bird. And they're not around anymore. Namely, the Milkman, the Eggman, the Fishman, and the Ragman. And some of you out there are saying, oh, Sarge lost his mind, talking about things I ain't never heard about. Well, you're going to hear about them today. So, back in the day, before time, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, things like milk and eggs, they weren't things that you went to the store for. All right? Now, I grew up in a pretty urban area, fourth largest city in the state, about 110,000 people, decent sized city. But all the way around this city was a pretty suburban area. And back then, and we're talking late 60s through mid 70s, there were still a lot of chicken farms and cattle farms and, active farming communities. And we had these people delivering to our homes once a week, twice a week, depending on what your need was. You got on a schedule. And they delivered milk right to the house. We had this little lead-lined bucket, square bucket, that was insulated. And the milk, which was delivered in glass bottles, would be left inside this lead-lined container, right? Insulated lead container. Fresh eggs were also delivered by the Eggman, who was different than the Milkman because he raised chickens. And it was nice because nobody ever went to the store for these things. I know my folks didn't. We had these things delivered right to the house. And the Eggman, who only lived, the farm itself was only 10, 15 minutes outside the city. So you could get there pretty easily. And I remember my mom and my dad and me, on a Sunday or a Saturday, we would go to the chicken farm and my mother would pick out the chicken that she wanted for dinner or for soup or whatever. And the farmer would pull it out. Now, my mother never wanted the thing killed for her. She wanted to do the job all by herself, as a lot of the old Italian ladies did back in the day. They wanted it to be as fresh as possible. So they would kill it at home and then process it and get it in the pot. Or to, fry it up or whatever it was, whether it was going to be soup or it was going to be fried chicken or baked chicken or whatever. So the Eggman served a dual purpose. The eggs were delivered, but the chickens, you had to go get them if you wanted a chicken. Well, that's the Milkman and the Eggman. On Wednesdays, we had this fella come around, and he was the fish man. I remember he had this green, I don't want to say a pickup truck, because it wasn't really a pickup truck, but it was like an open back truck with bins in this modified bed, and it had this big canopy over the top of it. And inside these bins, there was all the fresh fish that was caught, either that day or the day before, or whatever, flash frozen and then shipped out for this guy to come around and deliver. Now, there was fish markets, but the fish man was one of those conveniences that you had. And on Wednesdays, he would come around and he would park that truck at the corner. And fortunately, my corner where this guy would park was right there. You could see it from the front porch. And he had this plastic horn, mouth horn. And he would show up, park the car, and then you would hear do 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 do. That meant on your mark, get set and go, because all the Italian women would come running out of their house to be the first ones to that truck so that they can take the first pick of their fresh fish for Friday, right? Because everybody back then, the Italians and the other people that had fish on Fridays, they wanted to make sure that they had the first pick off of that truck. Sometimes they'd get into arguments as to who was first and who could take what and all that. It was classic. Absolutely classic. And I, of course, being quite young at the time, would accompany Mom to the corner to go deal with the fish man. And the last guy that I want to talk about is a guy called the Rag Man. What is the Rag Man, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Back then, they used a lot of rags, a lot of dish towels and, house rags, things like that to clean and, dust and all of that stuff. Well, the Rag Man would show up usually once a week. I forget what day. And he would collect all of your dirty rags and give you one for one a brand new clean rag. Hold on. Yapping more than smoking, the pipe goes out. Anyway, and the Rag Man, you knew when he was around because he would show up, same corner as the fish man, and he would yell, "Rags! Rags!" And all the old women would go running out to this guy to turn over their rags and get the nice new clean ones. The Rag Man also served a dual purpose. If you were a bad kid or you did something fresh, your parents would tell you that they're going to give you to the Rag Man. Well, let me tell you, back then, being told that you were going to go to the Rag Man because you were fresh, that was like the thing that nightmares are made of. The Rag Man caused a lot of kids nightmares back in my day. There was a few groups. that you would be given away to if you were fresh back then. They would give you to the ragman, or they would sell you to the Indians. That was another one. Or they were going to take you to the doctor. Ooh. Those three things right there, guaranteed good behavior for at least the next day or two. The ragman, unfortunately, was the first of this group of special delivery people that disappeared. I remember very, very vaguely the ragman. He was gone probably by 1972-ish, right? There was no more ragman after that. And then little by little, all the other ones started disappearing. To where by about 75, 76, none of these delivery people were around anymore. The ice cream man, he was another one that used to come around. The good humor man with the white hopper trucks. Remember? He had to get out of the thing and go around the back and open the freezers, get whatever you wanted. And he had the change belt on, and he wore a white uniform with a black tie, right? Black bow tie, and a white 8-point hat like a policeman would wear, only white, right? With the good humor logo on the top. I had one of them. Then little by little, Mr. Softy started moving in. And then the good humor man disappeared. And then little by little, Mr. Softy disappeared. And one by one, all of these great American institutions just ceased to exist. They just went away. But some of us got to enjoy them. Some of us knew what it was all about. Today's kids, I feel bad for them because they'll never know some of the great things that we experienced back in those days. Simple things. There was no technology back then. There was no, highfalutin stay inside video games and all of that crap. We were outside. We lived outside, basically. As long as you were home before the streetlights came on, you were good to go. So, if you were fortunate enough to experience any of these things that I just described, the milkman, the eggman, the fishman, the ragman, the diaper service man. Back then, everybody used cloth diapers. Same situation. Guy would come around once, twice a week, pick up all the old dirty diapers, give you all clean new ones, take the dirty ones back and get them all cleaned up and ready for the next round of delivery and pickup. That, you might say, is a shitty job. If you've experienced any of these, or maybe you've got one or two of your own that you'd like to share, pipe up. Throw something down in the comment area there and let us know. I'm always curious to see who's had similar experiences to those that I've had, and from different parts of the country, because we're spread out all over the place. The YTPC, the Rumble Crew, we're all over the world, all over the United States, all over the world. Everybody has their own, or has had their own, experiences with things that no longer exist. These are just some of the things that popped into my head this morning. Don't ask me how, they just do. It happens. I've got this cesspool of information up here that just rolls around, and every now and then it spits out. So Today is one of those days. And being that I've had a couple of minutes today to do this, which doesn't happen too often, as you all know, I thought it'd be kind of cool to get on and share and reminisce. That's about all I got today. Those were good days. It's a shame that they all had to go away. And although they'll never be back, for those of us that have experienced them, they're all ingrained in here and in our hearts, because some of those experiences were pretty good. Except the Ragman. I didn't want to go to the Ragman. I wasn't a bad kid, much. But I didn't want to go to the Ragman. That son of a gun scared the hell out of me. What are you going to do? As always, I wish for all of you what I wish for myself. Cup of hot mud. Cheers. I'm going to go finish this incredible bowl of Bengal slices in my old school Tracy Mincer custom dash built. In 1946, he joined forces with Eugene Rich, and they changed the name from custom dash built to custom built. This is an original dash built. Love it. I'd like to thank you all an awful lot for joining me. And have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.